Take two. Cue the cat. Good morning, everybody. I realize I said this was going to be a wine thing, but I finished up with my CrossFit class this morning and I was feeling quite spunky. And I came home and fixed a second cup of coffee. So I decided to turn the video camera on and share with you a few things before I read the first chapter of my fourth Steely and Cuff mystery called How to Muzzle a Mobster. So what I'll probably do is do two videos and then splice it into one and then post it. So this evening I will be videotaping recording the second half of this session, and we will be reading with wine. So this morning I was driving to CrossFit and I was listening to a podcast. Please don't ask me what it was. Maybe I'll mention it. I'll jot it down and I'll mention it this evening because it truly sparked something in me that is a little personal. And it's a writerly podcast. And I didn't intend for it to, I didn't think it was going to affect me the way it did, but it did. And I want to share that with you. So this is a little personal, and I will try not to get personal in this series because I want it to be fun and it's set up for my readers. But this is something that it does apply to my readers because it has to do with book 2, which was called How to Kennel a Killer. And I'm going to share it with you. So the podcaster was talking about this whole COVID crisis and how people are in that, the throes of social distancing and what's wrong? Cuff is sitting underneath me, staring up at me and whining. And I brought him a treat today, thinking that this was going to kind of entertain him, but he doesn't seem to want it. I'm not real sure why. Let me grab him real quick. Come here, buddy. Come here, I hold you. I hold you. Oh, such a good boy. Are we being camera shy? Are we being camera shy? You don't be camera shy. Oh no. Say I love you. Say I hold you. I hold you. This is what we say. I hold you. Okay, so anyways, the podcaster was talking about how this whole COVID crisis has got everybody in a, disarray and a little bit of a state of a depression because we are having to social distance ourselves from family and friends and all of our regular things that we normally do. We were having to stay away from those normal routines, and how it's affecting us emotionally and spiritually and mentally. And I have to say that it is, for me, affecting me in all three of those ways. Physically as well, because I didn't do CrossFit for 10 weeks. And that's just my own fault. I could have done it here at home, but I was focusing a little bit more on spending time with the family, being a housewife again, and, cleaning and cooking and being that mom that I was prior to my youngest going away to college. And he's discovered the stuffed cuff. You want to see him? This was given to me by one of my reader friends and reader fans and beta readers. Her name is Marianne, and this is stuffed Cuff, and I'm pretty sure that the real Cuff is kind of afraid of him. Cuffers. Oh, ooh, he does not like that. Okay, we'll hide him. Okay. Okay, so let's go back to the way this pandemic is affecting us. So I wanted to share a little bit of a personal story really quick about getting over that hump of that mental anguish that so many of us right now are feeling. And it takes me back to the days that I was writing book 2 back in 2018. During the year of 2018, I had a pretty terrible experience with some suspicious mammograms at the latter half of 2017. And by January of 2018, I had already had 2 surgeries and 4 biopsies. And the oncologist, they were, it's called, oh my goodness, why am I drawing a blank? So it's the carcinoma in situ, where it's just basically like the cells are like gathering together, having a party inside of there. And it has the potential to grow into like, full-on breast cancer. So they wanted to get rid of that. So they did a lumpectomy. I had complications from that surgery and they had to go in there again. And anyways, the oncologist decided that she wanted to put me on tamoxifen, which is a preventative for full-on breast cancer. Well, tamoxifen is a estrogen blocker. I don't know a lot about it, but I do know that it blocks the estrogen, and that's because it was an estrogen dominant precancer that I had. And let me tell you, so I started the medication in June of 2018, and by the mid month of July, so I started in June, yeah, by mid-July, I was in full-on, like, depression. And I had no idea what was happening to me. I thought I had, had little bouts of depression before, like when my mother passed away, but I had no idea what depression was until the summer of 2018. And in July, in the midst of full-on depression, like a hormonally induced depression, had no idea still that it was the tamoxifen that was causing it. I had to have a 5th biopsy because my 6-month mammogram after the surgery showed more suspicious activity. So I had the biopsy. It was probably the worst experience that I had so far, only because I'm pretty sure the depression had me, had my anxiety ramped. And so I started seeing a therapist, and I couldn't write. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to see people. I was socially distancing myself from the entire world, except for my husband and my 2 girls. And my sisters were, keeping up with me and bringing me things and checking on me, which was so totally sweet of them. But after the biopsy, I started to see a therapist in August, and we did all of the things that you normally do when, you're depressed. We tried cognitive, therapy. We tried, a gratitude journal. We tried all these different things. And finally she said, I think we need to maybe, we kind of pinpointed it to the tamoxifen, and because it does mess with your hormones. And so I did start an antidepressant, which sort of helped. And my anxiety was like going through the roof. And I was trying super hard to finish book 2, which was How to Kill a Killer. And I just couldn't do it. I couldn't focus. I couldn't sit down and write. I didn't want to write. And I had all these emotions and fear and anxiety. And something that had happened in my life back in 2016 came to surface again. And I had social anxiety, and I had panic attacks when I was in our small downtown, because the incident that came back to surface while I was in this tamoxifen-induced depression was due to somebody in our social network of people in town. And it was traumatizing. don't get me wrong. But then when this thing started with the tamoxifen, it literally, I thought it was going to kill me mentally. So the therapist and I started working on trying to channel that fear and anxiety into my work. And we also sat down one session and like penned out an entire writing schedule. And so I had to put in so many hours a day. We didn't do word count because that seemed to put a lot of pressure on me. So we did how many hours a day. And then we set, like, I had to have this draft done. Then I had to turn it into the editor. Then I had to get it beta read. Then I had to edit again. Then I had to do the next draft and so on. So we just basically plotted it out from August all the way through when I wanted to publish, which was the second week of November. And I'll be darned if it didn't work. The best thing, and the thing that I want to point out right now, I know this is getting super long, but it's super important, and I'll come back around as to how everybody can apply it to their life right now, is I took all of those emotions that I was having, the fear, the anxiety, the panic, the hurt, and the anger that I had about this situation, and I drove it straight into my characters, and I let them play it out, almost like role play. So I used my main character Steely and an incident that happened in Buckleville, in the literary fictional town that I have created, and if you knew me and you knew what happened, you will totally recognize what happened. And I didn't, of course, it's a totally different scenario in the book. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to channel all of those emotions that I was dealing with and didn't know what to do with them. And I channeled it into my characters, and it worked. It not only worked, but it seemed to be able to, I seemed to be able to like let that go while I was drafting that novel. And it was such a relief when I was done. And not only was I proud of myself for actually writing and editing and revising and publishing an entire novel of, I guess it's like 79,000 words, while I was in the thrust of depression and anxiety. I did it. I completed it. I finished it, and I was super proud of myself. But it also was an extremely creative way to get rid of my my overload of emotions that I was having. And so, anyways, during this time of crazy COVID-19 pandemic, try to find something that you can channel those emotions into, whether it's cooking, or whether it's cleaning, whether it's painting a picture, whether it's, writing, you could journal, gardening, and put those emotions into that activity, and scream if you have to. Chop up that dirt when you're planting that garden, and then, once you're done chopping up that dirt and you're breaking rocks to set up your border or whatever it is that you're doing. Once you're done, building that and putting off all of that angst into that process, then you can work on picking your seeds and letting some other things go, and then or picking your plants out and the colors. Cuff, sir. No, sir. We're not going to bark. Sorry about that. So, and then then you plant and you let it go some more. And, before you know it, you're going to have this beautiful, colorful garden. And you can apply that to any of the other activities I mentioned. And so that the fruit of all of that angst and emotion becomes something beautiful. So anyways, Got a little emotional there. So that is what I have to say right now. And so go out and find something that you can put all of our crazy emotions that we're experiencing right now into something creative and make something beautiful. And you will feel much better. So for now, I'm going to sign off and I will be back later this evening. I'm going to wear a quirky hat. So cliffhanger, which hat will I wear? And we'll cue the cat again, and I will read chapter 1 of How to Muzzle a Mobster, book 4 of the Steely and Cuff Mysteries. Until then, work on that creative idea. Mwah! 5,000 words into the first draft. I am not wearing my microphone. I can see it here. Sorry about that. So, yeah. We're going to say